The day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 356. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rated G for Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rutino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man?
Feeling good. Summer is coming. We had some nice 80-degree weather last week. We got some nice mid-60 weather this week. Summer's coming, man. I'm feeling good. I like being outside in a t-shirt. It's great. I like the optional hoodie weather. It's good stuff.
Listen, it's spring, okay? So that means in the day when the sun is out, it's semi-warm, and as soon as the sun goes down, it's cold.
I mean, like late night, it can be a little cold. Yeah, late night can be a little cold. It's why you gotta rock the hoodie. It's optional hoodie weather.
It goes down to the 40s when the sun goes away.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. It's a good time, man. Yeah. Like, taking it now because it's going to be like 90 to 95 when it hits the peak of the summer, and you're going to be like, I want that spring weather.
It sucks. I hate this. I'm going to Alaska. In August, I'm going to Alaska.
Oh, wow. All right. So, this guy's got plans.
All right. So before you say anything, because I know you're confused.
I got some questions.
Take a look at my shirt. If you take a look at my shirt, which I know you can't really read because the camera's facing this way. It reads, "Insurance is not approved." Why am I wearing a shirt that says insurance is not approved? It is a work thing. My boss is coming back from opening up our Miami office.
Uh-huh.
And we all have quotes. Funny quotes that we keep hearing every day for work. Right? So one of the quotes I hear is, "My deals can't close because insurance is not approved yet." And it's a quote that's annoying, but something that we all like we all know because we work in the industry, right? So if you don't work in the industry, you don't really you don't get it. Like, what the hell is that?
Right.
We all had T-shirts made up of quotes, that only us we would know because we hear it every day.
I love the inside joke. I love the inside joke. I love it.
So you're probably wondering, why am I not wearing my hat that I usually always wear? And I'm wearing a Giants hat, and that's because I was going to wear a Yankee hat. But my boss hates the Yankees, so he's only a Mets fan, and I'm not wearing blue with this black. So I figured,
blue and black's a good combo. So, I don't know.
I know. So right after, I've been trying to get a good picture because we all have to take pictures of ourselves, and they're going to get them printed up and put it on his desk. It's just a funny joke.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I support this. Wow, good deal. So I have to ask.
Just on another note. Okay.
Well, I have to ask, and I think you're going to get into it right now. I know. I mean, any regular listener to the show, if you've listened for the past couple of weeks, Dan's been having this TV drama. Are you good now?
No,
are you whole? Do you have the TV?
No. So my TV that I bought in October was an older model. It was brand new, but it was an older model. Mm-hmm. They no longer have that model. They've given me the updated model. It has shipped. It has not reached the warehouse in my area or New York or wherever yet.
Okay.
It's shipped. It should be here soon.
Okay.
They said I should get it by tomorrow, which is the weekend. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, the next time we do this show, I'll have my TV.
Nice.
So,
all right.
We'll see.
All right. I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
I will say this. I just found out something totally interesting. It only applies to people who live in New York. Mm-hmm. So, Dave, I don't know if you haven't taken the new trains that New York has spent like $2 billion on.
I've read about them. Are they out? I didn't think they were out yet.
They're out. No, they're out. They're only on the A line. They're
only
on the
let's
A line,
go.
which is my old train and my old subway. Do you know that the old cars from the old subway cars from the 60s, the red ones?
Oh, I remember they were on the 456 line. Yeah.
They dumped them in the water. They dumped them in the water to be barrier reefs along the coast.
You know,
of New York.
I have heard about this. I know they keep a couple around because, like, every now and again they'll like bring out the classic, really old ones with the old advertisements, or maybe replicas of the old advertisements.
They do keep one that's in the museum, right, or one car that's in the museum, and they do have like a whole train that they keep to bring out, for nostalgic purposes, because they still have that green one from like the 30s or 40s.
That's the one I'm talking about. They did it for like a Boardwalk Empire promotion one year, and they do it around Christmas time just to kind of like do something fun. I am amazed that the brand new trains and the old school trains run on the same track with the same signals and everything. Like, yeah, you're going to be sitting in wooden seats and it's not going to have the best ventilation, but like it still runs on the same technology. That's wild. Like, this is pre-World War II technology.
I know, but they used the old trains as barrier reefs along the coast of New York. Like, that's crazy to think. That's crazy to think about.
Sure. I mean, I guess
they showed a video of them dumping them into the ocean.
Yeah, I guess it's okay to do that, right? Because, I mean, you think, like, why would you be putting trash in the ocean? That'd be bad for the animals. But I guess it works. Like, the animals kind of habit it. Make it
I don't know.
habitable.
I feel like we're gonna have like an underwater museum where they're gonna like take you scuba diving into the old trains in New York in the dirty water. It's crazy.
Well, guaranteed that James Cameron's been down there. That man loves to travel.
All right, Dave. We have an awesome show this week. Coming up, we're going to talk about Nintendo going after a hacker. I mean, this hacker's going to, his life is over. He's going to own Nintendo for the rest of his life.
No, you don't mess with Nintendo.
You don't mess with Nintendo. Out of all the companies, Nintendo's the one you don't mess with.
No.
And then Sony has another studio acquisition in the works. So we're going to talk about all of that. But before we get into any of that, let's begin the show with the notable games coming out next month of May. And as always, all the game releases here I pull from Game Informer. So if you're mad at my list, and again, this is only the notable games. I'm not picking the small games I've never heard of. If you're mad at the list or the date has changed, blame Game Informer, because that's where I plagiarized this list from.
I mean, it's common knowledge. They did all the work. And there's no fault in grabbing it from somewhere else, right?
Well, I guess it's only 3 notable games coming out for the month of May of 2023. We have Redfall coming out exclusively to the Xbox. Well, consoles. It is coming to PC May 2nd. And if you're okay with playing it 30 frames per second and you have Games Pass, then you're good to go.
I wonder how that's going to affect sales. I'm worried about all the other stuff about the game, like the gameplay mechanics, more than the performance, because it looks like pretty good.
Sales. You say sales? Nobody's buying this game. They're just gonna get Games Pass. It's like how many?
Well, okay. I wonder how many people are gonna play it and play it for a long period of time, because it's meant to be a game as a service, I think. And you keep going around doing missions with your friends. So, I wonder the longevity, the staying power.
Well, you bring up sales, and I did. This was in the running of talking about it on the show as a story.
All right.
But there was a report out that Microsoft was pretty down on Xbox sales of I have the name right here. What was the game that just came out?
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush.
Right.
Yes.
That was a day one Game Pass, a stealth drop. Yeah, there's a ton of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Microsoft. The report was that Microsoft was very upset or disappointed in the sales of Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay.
Right. And then they had there was an update to the story. Actually, update came out today or yesterday to the story that I had, that they said, hey, Xbox came out and said they were very happy with Hi-Fi Rush because they had a big player count from Games Pass, right? Sure. I don't know if anybody subscribed just to play it, but everybody who already had a subscription, they probably had a high play count, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know if you can necessarily have both on the rise, right? Because the whole point of Games Pass is to not buy these games, is to play them. You know, you get a big buffet card of like whatever, and you pick what you want to play at this time, and then when you're done, you're done.
Well, that is not what they were saying when Game Pass first was announced.
Yeah.
They said that sales of games rose like 15% after people played it on Games Pass.
I think maybe you may get like kind of an initial bump from that, but you are going to get, I mean, you're also going to get a certain kind of person who obviously doesn't care about physical and who wants to get a good deal and be able to play a bunch of first-party games and some third-party stuff in there. Because they have a great selection. And it's only $15 a month, right? The price is right. An average game costs you about $60, and it'll probably last you about a month if it's a big AAA game. So $15 a month, and you can play more than one game at a time, right? I don't think it's that bad. Now, you don't get to own anything, you know. That's the thing that me and you and all the collectors care about, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And I should have just started this list off with the only game that matters in the month of May, and that is The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, coming out on the Switch May 12th.
That's huge. Right?
I mean, that's really it. That's really it. I should have just started and ended with that.
Yep, Game of the Year potential. We're saying it now.
We'll just say it's the Game of the Year. Let's just call it now. It's the game.
Yeah,
2020.
We're not even at the Game of the Half Year yet. We're at the Game of the Year. It's Zelda. It's Zelda.
We don't even need to have nominees. We don't need to nominate it. You don't need to come up with 5 and I come up with 5. We don't need any of that. Let's just call it now. You know what? The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, rated G's Game of the Year for 2023.
There you go. There you go.
We don't have to wait.
There you go.
And for anybody else who cares about any other games coming out in May, The Lord of the Rings Gollum, PS5, Xbox Series X, XS, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. No Stadia. Probably one of the last times I'm going to say that. Comes out May 25th.
This was at PAX, and I'm sad that I missed it. I was at the booth.
We both missed it.
Yeah, I tried to get in to see it. Couldn't make it happen. So I was like, all right, I'll wait. And I heard from some various people that there were some performance issues and didn't look that great necessarily. So there's a little bit of negative press around it. We'll see how it does. You know, it is 2 weeks after Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is unfortunate. It's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting.
No one's going to play it. They should just delay this until like August.
Yeah, and what's the one that's coming? There's another big one coming out in June, right?
Well, there's 2 coming out in June: Street Fighter 6 and Final Fantasy 16.
So you're sandwiched in between 3 AAA heavy hitters that are going to be in contention for Game of the Year. That's tough. But I don't know. I don't know when you put this game out. If not May, when?
You put it out in August before the rumored Spider-Man 2 is supposed to come out like in September, and then we have Starfield coming out in September. So you put it out before those games come out.
Early August would be a good time. I don't see a lot of big games come out in August either.
Yeah. All right. So Dave, I really wanted to do this for the last like week and a half, and I figured we'd do it on the show here. IGN put out their top 10 Mario levels of all time, and I said this would be a great opportunity because I have no idea what levels you would pick. So I said, hey Dave, why don't you pick 5 levels and I'll pick 5 levels, and we'll come up with our 5 levels of each 5 levels, our top 10 levels of all time, which probably won't even be 10 because we're probably going to overlap some. So when we first did it, I had no idea what you're going to do, and you have no idea what I was going to do.
Yes.
And looking at our list, we did overlap 2 games.
It's not surprising.
We did overlap 2 games.
There's some iconic levels that are kind of just they can't not be on the list. Cream of the crop.
No, I know. Yeah, no, I know. But just real quick, they go over IGN's top 10 levels. They did Bowser's Fury.
Well, do you want to set the parameters for it? Because there were some interesting things they said about it, right?
Well, I mean, they just honestly they didn't add any Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. That was really Yoshi game.
They're considering that a Yoshi game, and that's a whole that's a whole subset, right? There was the one on N64. There's the Woolly World, all the ones on the portable, the handheld, the 3DS, the Wii U. So that's like a whole thing. So these are all 2D and 3D mainline Mario games. None of the offshoots, like Mario Kart, none of that. Can't pick Dr. Mario, even though it doesn't have levels. But yeah, so it's mainline Mario games all the way up, and including Odyssey, I think, right?
Is included Odyssey.
Yeah.
Because that is a mainline Mario game. That is the last mainline Mario game we got so far.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they got Bowser's Fury from Super Mario 3D World, right? Just the whole thing is a never-ending level, right? I don't know if you've played it.
No, I
doesn't
played
end,
it extensively.
right?
That feels cheating. Because there are like individual islands that are broken up by like Bowser fights in the middle, and that feels like cheating to me. No? That feels like too much.
I don't know. I mean, I get what they were going. I get what they were going for. Because nothing ends. Nothing really ends, right? The level never ends technically. Everything is just an ongoing level. The world itself is just a level.
It is very amorphous, but that's the whole new DLC thing. Like that's all the new content is what they put as a level. But all right, okay. I already have issues.
They got. All right. Well, I just want to run through this.
Yeah. Go.
Bowser's Fury. We got Donut Plains 1 from Super Mario World. The Sunken Ghost Ship is Super Mario World. Which I'm not gonna lie, I disagreed at first, but then after thinking about it a while, like I didn't realize the sunken ship was representative of the ships in Mario 3. Bowser's ship in Mario 3 that he destroyed and it went down. That's like incredible. Totally after all these years, I never realized.
Yeah.
And then all the ghosts are supposed to be the ghost of all of Super Mario 3.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. All
right, so I didn't realize that. So then you got Giant Land from Super Mario Brothers 3. You got Bianco Hills from Super Mario Sunshine. Darker Side from Super Mario Odyssey. Freeze Flame Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy. And of course, World 1 from Super Mario, the original Super Mario Brothers.
1-1, yeah. The OG.
Yeah. Bowser in the Sky, Super Mario 64, and New Donk City. And New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay. I have some questions.
So that's IGN's. Yeah, that's IGN's top 9 according to Dave.
Okay. Well, I have some questions because they say giant land, as in like the whole land, but that's broken up into like 7 or 8 levels, and the boss airship and the houses. That feels.
I'm sure they mean if you actually watch the video, because I took this from the actual written article. If you actually watch the video, it's the first world. The first world.
Okay.
And yeah, it is the first world.
Okay.
And they're talking about the first world in each one of these. So. So Dave,
Well, go ahead.
I'm kind of curious about year 5. I don't really want to talk about IGNs anymore,
right?
Because this is all about which levels you pick.
Right. Okay. I mean, I went at it from the point of which levels did the best teaching, and what do I mean to say by that?
The whole question. You just changed the whole question.
Well, no, because they say the best levels, but what does it mean to be the best level? And I think the best levels are the ones that teach you by showing instead of telling you, right? Okay. And I know they had World 1-1 on the list, which is iconic, and I've heard Miyamoto talk about it and how he set the level up and how it was designed for you to like figure it out based on like the Goombas that are moving to the left and you're supposed to go to the right, and what do? And you hit one of the buttons and then you realize you jump. And the way they're kind of set up, and when you end up jumping over them, like you inevitably will hit the block and you'll go, oh, right? You'll hit the block or you'll hit the question mark, and the question mark, you'll go, oh, I can hit this. Let's hit the other question marks. They're inviting you to hit them, and then you get the mushroom, and then you realize you can break the bricks, right? And just that little area is like so iconic. And then there's other, like when you go down the pipe and there's this other area, and it's like a shortcut to like the rest of the level. That's kind of interesting. They have the fire flower, and they have the star, if you're good enough to find it, which is not hard to do. But you can get all the powers, and you get all the basic mechanics of the game right there in one single level. It's a classic, and it's a good teaching level. You could play it without picking up the manual and know what to do. Also, they mentioned Donut Plains 1 from Super Mario World. That's when you get the cape, and they set that up so you have the Koopas without the shells, the little flying Koopas. And one of the first ones you run into is one that's like blinking. And, you know at this point, because you've been through World 1, you're now in World 2, the first level of World 2. You know that you can jump on these things. You're encouraged to like, well, why is he blinking and why aren't the other guys blinking? And then they give you the cape. And there's little boxes too. Yeah, the feather, feather, which is like you get the big cape. And
You're Superman. You're Mighty Mouse.
Yes.
You're a superhero. You're a superhero. Yes. You feel like it's more of a superhero.
And they set it up
and you still have the spin. And you still have the spin that you could spin to the hurt enemies, just like you could with the Tanuki suit. With the tail, but except for you hit it with your cape.
That's right. So you get all these mechanics. When there's the little thing where you go up like the side of the pipe, and then you just get shot up, and it's like, oh. There is this. And there's even the little boxes to like teach you the advanced mechanics, because you can like kind of glide and like get extra air, and you can keep going with it. Like you can kind of do that wave motion, which is awesome. And they give you that little bonus area to just go hog wild and get a ton of 1-ups. So that I thought was great. I also think Yoshi's Island 2 from Super Mario. This is 2 from Super Mario World. Yoshi's Island 2, which I feel like the world is about to be frozen over right now. Like Dave is picking levels from Super Mario World, the best Mario game, the best game of all time. They do have an amazing level structure. They do have an amazing level structure, and Yoshi's Island 2 is great because that's where you get Yoshi, right? And you learn all of the mechanics. You learn that he can eat the apples that are there, and you like basically automatically do it because he is at the same height as he would be going across where the apples are. So he just automatically, and you're like, oh, he can, and there's the little boxes that tell you the info too, but like it's set up in a way that like you'll figure it out just by playing the level. You learn about how you can get the 1-up with the turtle shell. All right, there's all those like Koopas lined up, and there's that empty turtle shell, and you go boom, and you knock them all down, you get a 1-up. So you learn that mechanic. It's those are amazing levels. I also like Giant World level 4-1 from Mario Brothers 3. It had all the giant sprites. It was really a technological marvel that they could do that. I don't know if it's in 4-1 specifically, but one of them. There's a door you can go through which switches the level from big to small, which I think is really cool. And you can go back and forth.
I hated doing that.
Oh, it's such a cool mechanic, though. Like you flip the world around.
No, I know it's cool. I know it's cool, but I never wanted to go through it like because the rest of the game is going to be like normal size. So I always liked going through the big levels, everything being big giant size.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, it's like, it's super cool. I still don't know how they did it because everything's like nice and big and crisp. And then the final one is from Super Mario 64. I had to include Bob-omb Battlefield because it's like a nice little training ground. It teaches you some basic mechanics, how to get around, how to jump, how to get acclimated to Mario.
Is that the first level? Is that the first painting?
That's the first painting you go into.
I'm no nostalgic for Super Mario 64. Mm-hmm. I don't know the levels by name. I know the first level because I've played that probably 1,000 times, not 1,000,000 times, 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. But I'm not too familiar with Super Mario 64. Yeah, so I have no nostalgic for it.
Yeah, okay. I'm less familiar with the 3D games, and it's a little harder, I think, with the 3D games because they're so like open world. So it's hard to like. It's harder to ensure that you'll go to this thing. To do this thing, to kind of learn about whatever the mechanic is for it. So I don't know. For me, I kept going back to the 2D ones because you go left to right, and if the level's structured properly, you'll come across the mechanic and you'll go, oh, okay, this is how you do this, and then you learn by doing, and they're teaching you by showing, which is better than telling you.
No, I understand.
Yeah. So those are my five.
All right. So I took a different approach than Dave. I took the 5 best levels. Well, I did my top 10 best levels to me. Like, which I don't care if it's teaching you anything or anything like that. It's just the 5 best levels that left an impression on me personally. Right. So here are my top 5. Yes, Donut Plane 1. You picked that too. I love that. That actually showed you, because once you actually kill the little Goombas, right? The first Goomba, and you take the
Koopa,
the feather, and the Koopa, and then you run and you go fly, right? Like, you learn very quickly that you could just float in the air and just glide, or glide in the air all through, right? Like, that's crazy. You didn't do that with the Tanuki suit, right? The only thing you could do is wave your tail so you could come down. You could do the feather fall, yeah. Right? Yeah. So I thought that was like awesome, and I like loved it. I used to go back and run and just jump, and I spent all that time on that level.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, they definitely have a better flying mechanic than 3. Yeah.
I love Giant Land 4-1, right? Because when I first saw that, when I actually made it to that level, I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. I remember as a kid, I was like, wow. Like these big sprites on my tube TV, right? Because remember, we had tube TVs. We didn't have plasmas or anything like that back in those days.
Tiny 20-inch TVs if you were lucky.
So I was like, wow. I was impressed with those Giant Worlds too. But that's where we differ. I would say my top 3 right now are Metro Kingdom, New Donkey City.
New Donk City is classic. Yep.
New Donk City. That is classic for Mario Odyssey, because finally Mario's in the real world. Technically, he's with real people, and he is a midget. He's
the mayor. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like you always, remember the Super Mario Brothers TV show?
The Super Show, yeah.
They're in the Super Show. They were in the real world. They're plumbers, and then they go down the drain in a toilet, which I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, you gotta see it. I wonder if
that's how that happens.
Come on.
I'm
not gonna ruin it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna ruin
it. But it was good to see finally, like, I don't know how long, like 30 years, but it's good to see Mario back in the real world, so to speak. All right. I would say the Forest of Illusion 1 from World 5 in Super Mario World.
Yeah.
Because that was actually cool with the background, right? Of the forest. Like, you're in the forest and you have that background forest too in the back. And that was actually a level that had like a secret level, right? There was a secret exit there too, where you're like, as you go through the level, you're like, how do I get that key? Like, how do I get down here? You don't know how to get down here just yet, unless you read Nintendo Power. And see how you had to get the balloon to float over, so you had to sacrifice Yoshi. So
right.
And then that's when we first saw the caterpillar, which was the Wiggler.
Yep.
And you couldn't kill it. Remember, you couldn't kill it. You jumped on it, it turned red. It
just got angry.
And became fast and angry and chased you. Yeah.
Yep.
I think if you had the cape and you twist, I think you can kill it. I know if you had Yoshi, you can eat it, but the fireball was useless against it. The fireball was useless against it, and that was one of the first times where the fireball was useless against anything other than the one with the black shell from Mario 1, right?
The dry bones,
that one too. The dry bones. No, not the dry bones. And remember, there was
the beetles, the Buzzy beetles.
Yeah. So that level gave me problems when I first, as a kid.
Okay, I'm with you on all these picks. I'm with you.
And remember, you had to get the secret level, because if you just beat it, it just gave you a big giant circle.
Oh, well, that was the whole, like, every level had a weird, like, secret exit to it. Yeah, I got stuck in there for a while. I did. I was in that. I was definitely in that loop.
And then last, I want to say, I know the first level of Super Mario Brothers, the original, is iconic, and it is. It's super iconic. I don't take anything away from that. But for me, left an impression on me was the original Super Mario Brothers World 1-2, when you're underground. So now it's not bright and sunny; it's dark and gritty, and it's the second level of the first Super Mario Brothers game, right? And there's early on in the beginning, if you get too close, right, to the bricks are you can't get through unless you're small, where you can just run through, or you run and slide under, right? And then you gotta like jump up to get the bricks, and they have Goombas coming right towards you. So and if you remember, you couldn't go left. So
because it was the ratchet's fault.
Yeah. If you came too far, I got stuck there a few times, and this was the first level.
Yep.
This was the first level, right, that had a hidden secret, right? Because if you ran and you jumped all the way up instead of going through the pipe and jumped above it, you got the warp pipes as well.
Oh, that's right.
That will send you to other levels.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I forgot about all the warp stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be a little bit more iconic in my view, or it's right up there. The first two levels of the original Mario game are super iconic. In my view.
I think the first world of any Mario game does a lot of heavy lifting. It's hard not to pick the first level of every Mario game. But all right. I have no notes on your picks. No notes.
All right, Dave. As we always try to start the show, but epically fail. What have you been playing?
Not much to report. It's Resident Evil 5. I'm almost done with it again. I'm on my second playthrough.
Again?
No, I'm still on my second playthrough. I'm gonna go through it again. I don't have enough money to get the infinite rocket launcher, which is what you want. Then you just blow through the whole entire game. But I do have some news. I got an email today. I got the invite for the Diablo 4 beta. So I'm very excited.
Nice. Okay.
It's supposedly coming out, I think, late May, early June. And I'm interested to see what they do with the game. Because the last one, Diablo Immortal, was trash. It's all microtransactions up the wazoo. Terrible. So.
And you'll let me know how it feels to play, Xbox, Microsoft first party exclusive game in the beta.
Well, I mean, the deal hasn't been inked yet.
It will be. It will be.
Right.
It will be.
All right. I'm just saying, we haven't heard a lot about it since, so I'm curious where that's at.
Yeah.
All right.
Every time I hear about every time I hear Call of Duty or Diablo, I just think Xbox first party game. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be.
So, all right. Well, what have you been playing?
Same thing on the front. I haven't played a lot. I know I don't have a TV. Like, this is where I want to play my games, on my main TV OLED screen. All right, like, I want to play it on a good TV. Mm-hmm. Haven't played anything on a good TV. Been playing the Switch a lot. I jumped into some Rygar. It's an old NES game, and playing that on Nintendo Online. Nice. I've really been playing Vice on Nintendo Online. Another
Vice Project Doom.
NES game.
That's the one that's like it starts off as like the racing game with shooting mechanics.
Starts off as a racer with shooting mechanics, and then you get into a side-scrolling platformer. Yeah,
that game is amazing.
Different for the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then some Sonic 2, a little bit of Sonic 2.
Very nice.
Like there are games like Super Mario World, Sonic 2, Turtles in Time. I don't need to hear the music. Even though I love the music of those games. Those are the top 3 games of all time for me. Mm-hmm. I could just mindlessly play them and know where everything is.
Listen to a podcast, watch all 3 of those videos, games
so many times.
Yeah. Oh, the classics. Yeah, all of them.
All right, so why don't we take a break? When we come back, we're getting to the top gaming news of last week. Mm-hmm. And we're back. All right, Dave, let's get into the top gaming news of last week. We have to start with the company you don't want to mess with, and that is Nintendo. Mm-hmm. You don't want to mess with them. You don't want to get on their bad side. Nintendo, out of any other company, you don't want to screw with.
Nope.
All right? So we didn't talk about this, but, back in like 2020, there was a big investigation. I think in 2021, Gary Bowser, not to be confused with Doug Bowser, no relation, weirdly enough.
Not to be confused with Mario's nemesis, Bowser. It's just so funny.
No relation
so many people
between all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Gary Bowser, he was convicted and sentenced to 40 months back in 2021, and fined $14.5 million for his role in the hacking group Team Xecuter. Right, the hacking ring that sold chips allowing users to play pirated games. So this guy, well, he actually got fined $4.5 million and then an additional fine of $10 million on top of that. Which,
I mean, what's an extra 10 million, you know?
Yeah.
An extra 10 million.
So it was funny because if you actually read the court documents, he has to pay 10 million. They will forego the first fine, but he still has to pay. He owes 14.5 million, but they will settle for 10 million. So he owes 10 million technically.
Yeah.
And out of that 10 million that he has to pay back, the minimum, he's only paid $175 of that. They've taken his paycheck from work when he was in prison. Oof. So should this man Bowser, he's been released from prison, by the way, which is why this is a story. Should this man find a job in his homeland of Canada, because he's Canadian? Doug Bowser is actually from New York. Just found that out before we recorded the show. He's a New Yorker baby. He will have to pay Nintendo 25 to 35% of his salary will be docked every time when he actually gets a job for the rest of his life. If he's just working a normal, regular job.
Yeah. That's
by the way,
insane.
the man is 50. By the way, the man's 53 years old, so it's definitely going to be for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Well, there was 3 big players: Gary, Max Lauren, and
Say that 10 times fast.
And Yawning Chen. I don't know if I got those names right. I apologize, fellas. That's obviously not your biggest issue right now, but those are like the 3 big players. They've been doing this. Team Xecuter's been around since 2002. They've made stuff for the original Xbox. I think that's how they got started. I think I've done stuff for PlayStation, and I think they may have been the people that did the R4 for the DS. There's a lot of crazy stuff. Their website's still up. Team Xecuter has still got a website. You can still buy chips. They have boards and whatever on like Amazon, so they're still out there in a way.
Well, just as a side note, they charged him with 11 felony counts, right? And wire fraud was one of those counts. So it was not just pirating games. It's not just from games.
Okay.
Like everybody's saying. There are other charges. He actually pled guilty to 2 out of the 11 charges and got 40 months in jail. And then Nintendo has a civil suit against him, and he was fined for all the stuff that happened with video games. So that's why we get to the 10 million. Well, 14.5 million, but it's really $10 million that he has to pay back. He could file a petition and get that 4.5 taken out, but he owes a minimum of 10 million.
Oh, I can't even fathom. So take away the wire fraud stuff and all that. I'm not going to argue for any of that stuff, but do you think it's fair to get prosecuted for tinkering with your consoles and selling devices to allow people to tinker with their consoles? Now, ultimately, they could be used for pirating games and all that, which was Nintendo's kind of like, no, you can't do that.
I would say, they have a point. They're obviously trying to make an example of this.
Yeah.
Example of this guy. Nobody wants anybody to pirate their games, right? Microsoft, Sony, nobody wants them to pirate games.
For sure.
Sega, I think Sega is the one that's probably, been more open to it. People pirate their stuff or make sort of use their IP and make a game. They hire you.
Well, they got Christian Whitehead, right? Because he made all those great Sonic ports or whatever. This great Sonic. I guess I don't know if they're necessarily ports or whatever, but yeah, he got hired. People make fan games. Sega's like, yeah, go at it. As long as you're not making money off it, it's fine. Most other companies,
I think the thing that really screwed him up is that they were selling the thing so other people can do illegal, because it is illegal. He was selling the product for other people to do illegal things with, illegal, activity.
You're circumventing, their copy protection. You're putting games you don't own possibly on the system, right? You download them from a shady ROM site, and then boom, Bob's your uncle. The thing that I'll say about it, though, from let's take Nintendo, because they're the company that we're talking about. They, I guess ever since the Wii, have been charging you, and you'll buy it with a smile on your face, for copies of the original Super Mario Brothers over and over again. Why don't your purchases, your transfers, why don't they work from system to system? Why is it all these different stores?
They didn't want it to. That's why. And you didn't have to buy it. Don't buy it. Listen, speak with your wallet. Don't buy it. That's no excuse to pirate it. No excuse.
That's not an excuse for Nintendo to charge you more money than it should be for a game that's 20 years old over and over again.
No. They don't have to make an excuse. I own this. If you want it on here, you got to pay it again.
Well,
okay, that's it.
All right. I'm not saying it's not
moral
legal.
code for the company.
I'm not saying it's not legal, but it's just shitty.
You don't
shitty.
like it. Okay, then don't buy it.
Well, who likes it as a consumer? Nobody's going to say this is good.
Don't buy it. Don't buy it. If that's the case, don't buy it.
Well, that doesn't excuse Nintendo.
Just because you don't like something.
That doesn't excuse Nintendo from doing shitty things just because it's legal.
There's no excuse. It's not shitty. I'm charging you it again. I don't want it to be that way. I want you to buy it again if you want it. We're gonna put it out.
So you're saying that you're happy with paying for a game over and over again.
I'm fine. I've given them all my money. I'm fine. I'm fine with Apple and their crazy expensive products.
Apple's a whole other thing.
Buying every iPhone.
You pay a premium tax for subscription services to other services because Apple charges them 30%. So you have to pay more just because it's through Apple. Yeah. But if you do it through their website, it's cheaper. If you do it through, like, say, Netflix's website, as opposed to doing it on the Apple device.
Cool. They don't offer it. They don't offer until they offer it. Then I'm gonna keep doing it because this is what I want. You pay. You listen. You got to go with your wallet, right? Don't pay for it if you want to make a statement.
I get that, but it doesn't excuse Nintendo from doing shitty behavior.
There's no excuse. No. There's no excuse. It's not shitty. It's business. It's called business. It's not shitty. If you want them to change the business, then vote with your wallet and don't buy it. And then they will change it. That's how you make them change.
They're not ever going to change it. Because look at microtransactions and loot boxes. You can protest all you want. They're still putting loot boxes in there. They're still putting microtransactions in video games. We've tried to do that. It doesn't work. What happens is you don't get to play the video game, and you just have to deal with whatever the repercussions is, right? Like, I could also say, hey, Nintendo should have more sales on video games, and I know they won't. I'm okay with that to an extent because, like, yeah, they're high quality games, they're Nintendo games. Fine, I'll pay the $60 for them and all that, right? But they're not making me buy it over and over again, right? Like they didn't.
You know what?
They didn't do any extra work to the Mario Brothers game from the Wii when they first made the emulation for it. From the Wii up until the Switch, it's the same game. They already did all the work, right?
You know what? Pay what this is a perfect example right here. Vote with your wallet. Don't spend $70 for the new Zelda game and it's not new hardware. Okay, they upped the price to $70 for no reason.
Well, everybody's doing $70.
No reason.
No, there's a reason for it.
No. This is a Switch game. This is not a new console. This is not a new console. They can't have the excuse. The excuse, as you say, that hey, this is a new console, so it's more power. No, there's no difference. This is a Zelda game.
Sony would actually their first party titles on PS1 were $10 cheaper than everybody else's. There was already a built-in price difference on there, right? So third party games were $50. I'm assuming because of the licenses and the whatever. And Sony had it for $40. So there was already a price tier.
And then 64 games were $80. That's irrelevant.
Well, they were all over the place. They were all over the place.
Do.
Games didn't have any set price because like the chips would cost more, so they'd have to charge more for the games. So those discrepancies have always been $70.
Sony upped the game. No. But we're talking about the same console. We're talking about the same console. That's what we're talking about.
It's not about the console. It's about the budget.
Yes, it is. That's the whole reason why Sony.
It's about the budget.
Sony and Xbox. That's why Sony and Xbox say, "Hey, these are new consoles. New consoles. We got to up it. We got to up the price to $70 now." And we all accept.
Well, they didn't do that with the Xbox One and PS4. They still kept it at 60. They're upping it because the budgets are increasing.
They said the new consoles take more to make, so we're upping it to $70.
Well, this is
that's their excuse.
But this is a mid-gen price change. The games just recently started becoming $70. It's the same thing. They started off as 60 and now they're 70 2 years later. So the Switch is now,
what are you talking about?
6 years.
Sony has always bid $70 for PS5 games.
Well, the Xbox games weren't. The Xbox Series X games weren't that at the gate.
Yeah.
They eventually became $70.
I think Xbox wanted to, but they saw the negative reactions and said we're going to wait for a while before we actually have to do it.
Well, yeah, nobody's going to take that pill
but everybody's excuse is a new console. It takes
that's the way to
for these new consoles. This is the Switch.
That's the way to make the pill go down a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to use your argument. I'm just going to use their argument. It's just business, Dan. It's just business.
And I'm using your argument. It's shitty. So you vote with your wallet. Don't buy Zelda. Nobody should buy Zelda and protest because you should have it $60. Don't be shitty practices.
But you know what's going to But you know what's going to happen.
My argument
what's going to happen?
Business, and they can raise the price to whatever you want.
You know what's going to happen, though? The only thing that's going to happen is you don't get to play Zelda. It doesn't change anything. Yeah. You don't have any collective power in one person. So I'm going to buy the game. I'm going to spend the money on the game. An extra $10, it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to play the game.
That's not what you said with Star Wars Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2, right?
I was making a point. I was making a point about that.
Yeah, you're one person. You're one person. I bought the game. I bought the game.
I understand. I
bought the game.
I don't want to play it.
I didn't do the microtransactions.
I don't want to play it because it's got poor single player in there. They went back on the microtransactions.
The single player was great. Single player was great.
It wasn't worth $60. No, it was a quick side bit. The whole thing was to play online.
To me, it was worth $60. I thought it was worth it. I thought it was a great story.
Okay. If you played more than 5 hours on that game, I would be surprised. Of
course, I played more than 5 hours. I think it took like 9 hours to beat the story. Or maybe a little less. I
remember that being that much in that single player story.
No. It probably wasn't 10 hours or 9 hours. It's probably a little bit less, but it was worth it. I thought it was worth it. I thought it was great. And guess what?
Okay.
Didn't have to buy the microtransactions. Didn't buy the microtransactions, and that was fine.
No, I wouldn't either. But I mean, like, it was terrible, and they had to go back and change it all because fans threw their hands up. I still think the original post about Star Wars Battlefront 2 on Reddit is the most downvoted post ever because basically the person came back. You said, why does it take 40 hours to grind out for Darth Vader and then I can just pay a certain amount of money to get it like right away? Why does it end up taking that long? And this guy came back with this marketing guy came back with this long-winded speech about how no, it's good for you and you should enjoy it basically. And now it's the most downvoted.
I remember that.
Ever. Yeah, it's terrible.
No, I remember that.
The most downvoted.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Bring it back full circle to the story.
Right. Well, who are we talking about? Team Xecuter.
But listen. Yes. No. Listen, selling. Listen, they sold the thing to make other people do illegal things. That's wrong. No matter what you think about Nintendo, that's still wrong. Okay, yeah, so you can circumvent copy protection, right? Which is technically illegal. But what if they made it with the intention of being able to play like ROM hacks and like third party whatevers and like
not do anything illegal per se. Like somebody's making homebrew games and I want to play it on my Switch. And the only way to do that is with this hardware because it circumvents the copy protection, right? Because like homebrew games, you're not taking sales away from anything. You're not using pre-existing IP. Somebody's made their own game.
Intent is irrelevant. Your intent is irrelevant. But you sold this thing. Don't sell it. Make it for you. You can make it for you and do it yourself, but don't sell it.
You could make the argument for anything, right? You could say a hammer is like people shouldn't be having hammers because you can use them for nefarious needs. But the intent of a hammer is for construction work, right? The intent of a drill is for construction work. But you can do some crazy stuff with a hammer and a drill.
Yeah, well, now we're going to get into this whole political thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not that
weapon control, but your intent is irrelevant. You are doing something illegal that's not used for anything else to do illegal stuff, and it is. And now they want to make an example, so you can't. Do it,
sure,
and that's the point.
Sure,
because they want to make an example of them to discourage anybody else from doing it. Now, do I think the fine is excessive? I do. Do I think they eventually will settle it? I hope so. I hope they do sort of come up with a more realistic number, maybe like $1 million, right? That's
$1 million would
attainable.
Be a little bit more, yeah, because this guy doesn't have this kind of money. Nobody has this kind of money.
I mean, he was in jail. He's going to come out. What is he going to do for a living, right? What is he actually going to do for a living?
Who's going to hire him? I don't know.
And he's in his 50s. Mm-hmm. I think he said he's like 52, 53. He's in his early 50s. I mean, this dude is like, he wants to retire soon at some point, right? Mm-hmm. This is going to ruin this is essentially, this is a life sentence. So I do think the fine is excessive, and they should sort of settle on, maybe not right away, but maybe in like a couple of years, say, look, we're going to settle and say, we're fine. We're not going to collect the debt, right? Unless you win the lotto, then we're going to come back. Then we're going to come back for you. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's go on. Not bad stuff. Let's talk about some good stuff. And actually, interesting story.
Well,
Halo boss makes his way to Netflix to create a AAA game. Now, Joseph Staten, which didn't make the list, the show notes last week, but Joseph Staten, he was one of the creative leads in the Halo series. He actually left the company, came back to help out with the launch of Halo Infinite, right? Now that Halo Infinite launched, and you loved the game, and people loved the game.
It's good now.
In a better state than probably what it was. Yeah, he's now left Xbox, and he's joined Netflix Games as a creative director, and he will be developing a AAA multi-platform game that's going to be an original IP.
Okay. I got to get into it, Dan, because I hate this story. It's just not a good story.
I don't know why you hate this story. I don't know why you hate this story. This is a great story. I
hate this story because, one, Joseph Staten was one of the good guys, and he was just going to be in a different role at Xbox, so he would still have some say in the matter of making the console, the games good and push it in the right direction. I think he's good. So I'm upset that he left. And now he's going to Netflix, right? Because we talked about the Netflix gaming thing and all that. I don't want them to make AAA games. I want them to focus on their fledgling service, their movie streaming service, and I want them to invest in TV shows that are good. Because they're hemorrhaging.
A lot of good TV shows. There's a lot of good TV shows.
There is. There's also a lot of good TV shows that don't make it past one season or 2 seasons.
Listen, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Once and Always, I think is the name of it, was cheesy and awesome and super nostalgic for it because I was 11 when Power Rangers first came out. Just came out, watched it, awesome. Didn't want to talk about it on the show, but I guess this is my little easy, my plug for it. Go watch it. They have an explanation why the original Red Ranger, Pink Ranger, and Green Ranger weren't in the movie.
Amy Jo Johnson's
it really wasn't.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
It really wasn't a movie. It was like two 30-minute episodes together.
Okay, yeah, it was like a short movie, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did shoot it at the end of last year, the end of 2022, and Tommy or Jason, his real name is Jason, kind of funny. Tommy, he, before he committed suicide, he had some mental, he was dealing with some mental issues, which is probably one of the reasons why he didn't, sign up for it, because he signed up to be in every other reunion ever, right?
Right.
So, and because he wasn't in it, Amy Jo Johnson, I'm assuming she hasn't given an explanation why she wasn't in it. She said she never turned it down. She just never accepted it. So
could have been because of that whole situation.
I think it was because he wasn't going to be in it. And then Austin St. John, which was the original Red Ranger, is going through his legal issues because he didn't pay his taxes, or, I don't know. Let me not say accusations that he didn't pay his taxes. So he's going through his court issues around the time. Okay. So that's why he couldn't be in it.
Now,
and that's why he couldn't be in it.
Is this related to Netflix? Because this is the Netflix produced show?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
I was wondering how this tied in.
It just came out.
Okay.
It just came out a couple of days ago.
Okay.
I'm saying they have great shows. They still have great shows.
Well, this is like a one-off. That's like a one-off thing, though, right? Like they're not going to be doing any more.
Maybe they said that, but the numbers. I think the numbers did really well enough. There's talks that they may want to do maybe another special, and hopefully, fingers crossed. Obviously Green Ranger can't be in it because he's deceased, but and Zordon wasn't in it. The real Zordon, the original Zordon, is deceased. And I like the way they did it with Trini because she actually died. She passed away in a car crash in 2001.
Okay. Wow.
The original Rita actually passed away. She passed away of cancer in the late 2000s. She actually came back to the show. She was like a villain in one of the Mystic Rangers episodes, I believe. Okay. I didn't watch it at this point, but I think I saw that.
I would.
Hey, I got my Power Ranger plug-in.
No. By all means, sometimes you got to get deep into it. I love it.
My point is, I think they're doing well, at least for the short term.
No,
with all the movies and shows.
No, they canceled everything that's good. People are leaving.
They're not doing well. No, I think people are leaving because they know the password crackdown is coming. That was definitely a bad look. That was like them trying to and I get it. It's a business move, but people are gonna find other ways around it. They're gonna find other ways to spoof it. It's not gonna look good. I think Netflix is trying to transition just in case to make maybe they can leverage some things in the gaming space. Because this is going, sort of on the decline. If they make good AAA games, they could be a studio, right? They can actually be a gaming studio.
I don't think they can do both. That's way too hard. Amazon's trying it. Amazon can't do it. They can't get any of their stuff off the ground. Google tried it. Google couldn't get any of their stuff off the ground. It's very hard to do.
So here's the difference with Amazon. You can't say Amazon. Here's the difference with Amazon. And we talked about this. Amazon, and we had this on the show. We had, I forgot the guy's name. This was maybe like a year or two ago where, remember one of the stories was the guy, he was the head of Amazon Games or whatever the studio was, and they showed him an early build of the game. And he said, this is terrible. Why does this look like Fortnite or something like that? All right. And they're like, it's just an early build. It's not a finished product. And he couldn't see it because he wasn't in the gaming industry. Right. And then one of your arguments were, why would they hire someone to run the studio who isn't in the gaming industry?
You have to know about the business. Yeah.
Yes. That's what Netflix is doing. They're hiring so many people who know about the business.
Well, no, they're hiring one good person, which is Joseph Staten.
No. They've hired several people, key developers, they just haven't made the story. This just hasn't been a story on our show, but this is the biggest name that they've gotten so far. But there are other people that other developers, and they bought a studio. They bought small studios.
They bought the studio that was making all the Stranger Things games, which is an in-house property. I mean, that's like a given.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying those games are actually really good. 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if they made a fourth one, but.
I guess my question is, what would be a AAA property, right?
They're making a brand new game.
I know, but they're known for mobile games, right? So you can log in right now and play. If you have the app, Netflix gaming app, which I do because I'm a Netflix subscriber, I can just jump into Turtles, right? The Shredder's Revenge and play.
Which is not a mobile game, but you can play it mobily if you want to.
I can play it mobily if I want.
Which is great. I'm glad that's on the service.
like I know he's not making a Halo game, right? But I'm using that for argument's sake. Is he, like, it's going to be a Halo game that I could play on my phone?
Could be a AAA shooter, yeah.
Is this a AAA game where, like, we're going to require to have a controller, right? Like, you got to have a controller, because I can't imagine you playing a first person shooter on your phone.
You can play Fortnite on your phone. You can play Battlegrounds, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I mean, you could do it. You just have to.
I know, but those are. I look at those games differently than I would like a tactical, like like an actual like Call of Duty.
It's a shooter. It's got good shooting mechanics.
It is.
It's got great shooting mechanics. Say what you want about the community,
I know,
and the little kids that like the game and all that. It's a solid game for what it is.
It's more of like an arcadey thing where like you're jumping super high and you're shooting, right? Like you don't have to have.
It still requires like
accuracy.
It still requires like you got to be like quick on the draw. You got to be able to move it. Now, is it the best way to play? No. Is anybody can playing competitively on a mobile phone? No, I'll give you that. But I don't think that they can say you have to have a controller or build it for the controller. Because think about all the people that have Netflix. They get Netflix gaming off the bat. I don't know if the two circles, the hardcore gamers and the owners of Netflix, yeah, you're going to get some crossover, but I think 80 to 90% of their subscriber base is casual gamers at best. So I don't think...
You know what I think?
I don't think you're going to get... I think you gotta make it for the mobile phone first.
You know what I think they're going to do? Eventually, not anytime soon. I think they're eventually going to have if they don't get bought by Microsoft, because that was out there. That rumor was floating out there. Netflix was Microsoft was interested in purchasing Netflix.
I could
right?
see
like
it.
Disney was interested in purchasing Netflix, but Disney already has Disney Plus and Hulu. They own Hulu because that came from Fox.
Yep.
I can see Microsoft purchasing Netflix and have the Netflix app on, before that, if they don't purchase it, I can see them having like a Netflix app for your consoles where you could play all these games. And if it's a first person shooter, you can use the controller and have cross play.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I know Staten is good. Staten will probably make a really good game, but it's going to be mobile first. I mean, it has to be. Because the whole draw of Netflix gaming is that it's free with your subscription and you can play it on your phone, right? You don't need any other hardware than what you already have.
Watch and then turn around. Let's say 3 to 4 years later, we're gonna get in GameStop the next like Halo type first person shooter with a Netflix logo on the box.
I mean, it could be.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
That could be.
All right. Well, we're talking about acquisitions. Let's talk about someone we always talked about being acquired, not doing the acquiring, and that is Sega. Sega Corporation. Actually, they're going to buy what is it? Rovio Entertainment, the mobile gaming company.
The Angry Birds
that's in
people.
Finland.
Yep.
Angry people. Initial reports were they're buying it for $1 billion. No, they're not buying it for $1 billion. It's more like 775 million, so just under $1 billion.
And they have only made Angry Birds. Now, they made multiple Angry Birds games, but it's all Angry Birds. Angry Birds Dream Blast, Angry Birds 2, Angry Birds Star Wars, Angry Birds Journey, Angry Birds Seasons, which was a spin-off of the first one. They made a movie. They made an Angry Birds movie. That is all they do.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Is it worth that much? I know it's a very good game. It was one of the breakout mobile games. Everyone was playing it. Is it worth that much money? And are they just going to make more Angry Birds games?
No, that's what I want. You know what's gonna happen? You're gonna get Angry Birds in the next Sonic game. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna see Angry Birds in the next Persona game. You're gonna see Angry Birds in the next Persona game.
Is that worth 800 million or whatever it is? Like, I'm not saying they're not a good company, but it's a weird acquisition.
According to Google, they're worth 768.67 million euros.
Okay. That's
so that would make sense.
That's close to 1-to-1 euro to dollar, roughly.
Yeah.
It goes up, it goes down a little bit, but yeah.
So it makes sense that they purchased them for 775 million, just a little bit over.
I guess that's their valuation. Right? Wow. I mean, like, yeah. I wonder what they're going to do now, right? Because maybe they just keep making Angry Birds games for mobile. I don't know. Maybe people are still buying them. That's crazy.
No, I can see that happen. That makes sense.
Well, I didn't think Sega had that kind of money like that, but I guess they do.
No. Sega, listen, I definitely believe like they don't have money to have a console out because that's now you gotta put out, billions, right? And then you gotta come up with the software and pump that out over and over again.
They gotta get back into it. Yeah.
In different territories too, by the way, right?
Yep.
It's not like they're just gonna put out in Japan. You gotta put out in the U.S. You can put it in Europe, all right? So, but I'm sure they have a couple of billion in the bank to play with, right?
Sure.
Strategically, I mean.
Sure.
So, but they're not the only ones that are in the acquisition market right now, right? Looks like Sony has thrown their hat into the game as well and purchased another studio, Firewalk Studios. You want to talk about Angry Birds? Rovio Entertainment only making Angry Birds games. Firewalk Studios hasn't made any games yet. All right, they haven't made any games yet. They're a new studio from one of the founders of Fireworks Studios. Previously worked on Bungie. He was a technical art director for Destiny and a creative director for Destiny 2. He also was credited with working on Halo Reach, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and multiple Oddworld titles.
That's quite a resume. I would hire that guy. Okay.
Well, they did. They sort of made a deal with him. He opened up his own studio, and they were working on sort of a multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. That it's still, we have no idea what type of game it is, right? All we know it's a multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. And they liked it so much that they bought a studio.
Wow.
Just like Jade Raymond, right? Like Jade Raymond and
Haven.
They bought her studio, right? Haven, yeah. Wow. And they haven't put out a game yet either.
They're working on something, yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't know, like, I'm assuming that Jade Raymond was taking the stuff that she was doing with Google, or at least those concepts, and, like, bringing it over, turning that into a full AAA game. I'm assuming they're doing the same thing with Firewalk Studios. I would hope so, at least.
So I think they're working on these two studios, Haven and Firewalk, are working on maybe their Call of Duty equivalent, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe because we keep hearing they're multiplayer games. What does that mean? These people have worked on multiplayer games in the past, like Destiny and Halo. So they could be working on the next Call of Duty that could be exclusive, since we know whatever Bungie makes isn't necessarily going to be exclusive, right? Like that's part of the deal when they bought Bungie,
right?
That they can put it out on other platforms. Mm-hmm. So they have these other studios working on games, and they can share technology, they can share resources with Bungie, to make the next, Sony Call of Duty.
Well, we talked about bringing back like Resistance or bringing back Killzone, right?
SOCOM.
Or SOCOM.
SOCOM right? Could be there.
They have 3 top-tier shooting franchises. Well, Resistance is okay, but like Killzone's great, and SOCOM was great back in the day. I would love to see those go forward.
Resistance can can resurface.
I mean, for sure.
Resistance
like
would be the one.
They had 3 pretty solid games on the PS3.
You need a game that's gonna have that same like an easy name, like Call of Duty. Right? Call to Duty. Mm-hmm. Like, people just say Call to Duty. Like, Call to Duty is the name. Destiny, right? That rings a bell. Halo, right? Like, I think SOCOM, Resistance, like, that name alone, like, the average person, if I say Call of Duty, they know exactly what it is, right? So I think they can build something that can say, hey, I'm doing Resistance, right? Oh, Resistance, that's that Sony game, right? Where I shoot people. Well, it's more of an Alien game, though. That's the whole thing. Where Resistance was supposed to be the counter to Halo, and SOCOM was sort of the counter to all the actual military games,
right?
Military shooters,
right.
And Killzone was still kind of in the middle, but it was still sort of supernatural, so like aliens and stuff. Yeah. So I put Resistance and Killzone in the same sort of bracket where you could pick either one. Mm-hmm. All right, last on the list, Dave. Atari just keeps making acquisitions, baby. They're gonna make some big moves, right? I tell you, I want Centipede in 8K now. I want Centipede in 8K.
Since 4K is not good enough for Dan anymore.
No, I want 8K. I want to see Centipede in 8K. It looks like Atari's made another big purchase. They announced they acquired more than 100 games from the 80s and the 90s. And they officially, and the biggest name out of all those games, they officially acquired, which used to be a Sony exclusive, Bubsy 3D IP.
Oh, remember that, Jim?
Which was originally from PS1 days. It was originally developed by Ben Studios,
right.
which called Edict back in the day for the PS1 back in 1995.
Yeah,
I have no idea what Atari's doing. I just want Microsoft to buy them so we can stop with these silly stories.
Well, hold on, because you say Ben Studio, right? You say Bubsy 3D. That is their worst game. That is probably one of the worst games. That could be top 10 worst games of all time. I am not going to deny that. But Ben Studio did work on Siphon Filter. They did work on, let's see what else we got here. They worked on the Uncharted Golden Abyss. And
what are you talking about?
And they also worked on Days Gone.
What are you talking about?
The studio. Did they not get Ben Studio? Oh, they just got the rights to Bubsy.
They bought over 100 IPs that were out from the 80s and 90s.
Oh, they didn't get the studio. They just got the
3D. IP. No.
Well,
this would be bigger
terrible,
news.
This is terrible.
No, this would be bigger news. No. I'm saying Bubsy 3D was originally developed by Ben Studios, formerly known as Edict back in the day.
Okay.
No. They didn't buy the studio.
Ben Studios has much better properties. I was like, all right, that's a good acquisition. I don't care if they made Bubsy 3D. No. They made better games since then.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
No, they didn't. No, Ben Studios didn't. Well, Edict, I should say, at the time, that's what they were called. They didn't hold the rights to Bubsy 3D.
Right.
Yeah, because remember, we had a bunch of. They brought back Bubsy, like another Bubsy game.
Oh, it was okay.
Last gen, but it was on everything. It was on Xbox. It was on PlayStation. I forgot who put it out.
It was okay.
It was. I did buy it. It was okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, no,
exactly.
So,
and I'm being generous.
But I'm saying. Okay. I don't know what they're doing is stockpiling IPs, just like Embracer Group, but they're getting like the arcade IPs, right? And they're getting terrible IPs like Bubsy 3D. I wonder what's the end goal with them, right?
You could, I mean, you could do something with it for sure. We've seen like stuff come back from the past that is has been pretty good.
Well, Bubsy 3D came back last gen, and you said it was okay. So what are they going to do with this?
Well, I mean, you could have made a better game out of it. Like, I don't know. Like, it's rough. It's a hill that's like this. It's not a hill that's like this. You're going to have a tough time making a good thing out of it, but you could. The cat mascot thing is like, okay. I mean, it's not terrible. It's the gameplay surrounding it's pretty bad, but...
I'm saying they're stockpiling IPs. Mm-hmm. I want to know what the end goal is, right? Like I'm always confused when Atari acquires something. There's always which Atari was it? Which Atari acquired what? Right?
I'm assuming it's Atari games in this case. Yeah.
Is it Atari with all the hotels, right? And then you go in and Bubsy greets you and he helps you.
There you go. It's a mascot for the Atari hotel. There you go.
And he helps you with your luggage up to your room, or is this like Bubsy is Atari games where they actually want to make games?
All right,
I don't know.
Here's the easy thing that they can do. They can take all these IPs, put them on a disc. Here's your Atari Classics collection because they own all the IPs. Is anyone going to buy it or play it? I don't know, but
I would. For $30.
Yeah, there you go. See, you price it right. You put them all together, package it up like the Atari 50th anniversary. I don't know if they're going to do that. I think maybe they may take the IP and like put out a new game. I don't know.
So this is what should happen. I'm going to build on your idea. Okay, Nintendo should buy Atari, and then Nintendo can put out the Atari Classics and charge $69.99, and people would still buy it. There you go.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, full circle.
They do have the license to Hardball, which is actually or was a very good baseball game from back in the day. Goes all the way back to the Commodore 64, and they made some versions on the Genesis. So
yeah, I don't know if they can actually. I don't know if they can use that with all the teams. They would have to scrub the teams.
Well, I mean, you got to get the license. You got to get the license. Yeah, somehow, some way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Sony is exclusively making the baseball game, right? Well, there is like RBI baseball, which I think has the license too. So I don't think people are like, but that's more of an arcadey baseball game. So I don't know. It could be a Madden situation where you can't have another sim style game in that particular sport. So I don't know, but I just know back in the day Hardball was great. So I mean, who knows? I mean, Atari does some weird stuff. So
all right, Dave, you got any good weekend plans coming up?
Yes.
It's gonna be a nice weekend.
I will not be playing Bubsy 3D. That is my weekend plans. No, I'm going to
just for that. That's going to be the games I'm playing next week. I'm gonna plug in my PS4.
Hey man, you want to go down to the 7th layer of hell and hang out with Bubsy? By all means, I am not going to stop you. But no. Seriously, I got a hot pot thing going on with a bunch of friends. There's a hot pot over in the Fulton Square Mall and over in the Albee Square. It is a deal, Dan. All you can eat. $45 for the grill and the hot pot, and they just you got an iPad and you just keep ordering stuff, and they'll just keep bringing it to you. So good, so good.
Wait, I have no idea. Wait, is it like Korean barbecue? Like when they have the
grill,
stove, like and you get the meat and you just throw it on and cook it yourself.
$45, but with the $45, you can do just the grill for a little bit cheaper, or you can do the grill and the like soup pot, like the hot pot soup, and then they'll give you a bunch of stuff. You can you make a little soup thing.
Interesting.
So good, so good. $45. It's a steal. It's a steal. So,
gotcha.
How about you?
I'm gonna be playing more of my Saturday morning retro game, which I mean, since that's gonna be the next thing we record, is gonna come out hopefully next weekend.
Yep.
I'm just gonna tease it right now. I'm playing Kirby 64 in the Crystal Shards.
Well, if we're taking the mask off Scooby-Doo style, I am playing The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages. So there you go.
Are you gonna tell me you've been playing Tears of the Kingdom early?
Yeah, right.
I hate you.
Well, A, that's not a retro game, and B, yeah, no, I wouldn't be saying it on the show if I was. I don't want Nintendo coming.
I know you may owe $14.5 million.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't want that heat. I don't want that smoke.
No.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So all right. Well, that is episode 356 in the books, folks. We want to thank you guys for listening to the show, for liking, commenting, doing all the good stuff that you guys do. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. So please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.